So we're not doing like an intro to this. I'm starting right now. I'm like kicking it off. So, what's up? It's Jeff again, here with Kickback Sports. And last week, Nick kind of went on a absolute tear with his picks. Guys, it's Kickback Sports. We're starting off the season 4-1. I mean, 4-1. We laid the picks in your lap right at the end of the video, and if you didn't hop on that, then that's your fault. I mean, spreads were given, and money lines were thrown around. I mean, it's just if you didn't catch it, it's your fault. um, so we're gonna go over last week's picks. We had NCAA basketball, North Carolina upsetting Duke at home. Good night, Summer. Um, Won that. Outstanding pick. How great is it that Duke and Coach K lost their last game together at home? You just can't make those stories up. And Duke fans just crying and screaming. And it's like, hey, these things happen. Not everybody can finish in a fairy tale way. I mean, what did you think? NC State was just gonna roll over and let you have it? Be like, oh, it's the old guy's last game, like, or last game at home. What are you gonna do? Were you gonna give it to him? No, you're not gonna give it to him. That's ridiculous. Congratulations, North Carolina. That's a win in the books. All right, so we'll get on to our one loss here. That's Michigan State beating Ohio State. That was a call, and no, that didn't go through very well. They lost, and then Michigan State went on to win later that week. So we'll go to NBA. Miami over Milwaukee. That was a win. I know that Nick said that Milwaukee was, Milwaukee's a good team, and Miami hasn't exactly been the healthiest or the most on point, but he was on top of that. That's a win. Let's see. So Miami beats Milwaukee. That's our third win. No, that's our second win. Thunder covers plus 15 against the Nuggets. Not only did they cover, but they actually won the game by like a decent bit. So Nick nailed that one for you guys too, which probably would have had pretty good odds on the money line if he ran that. Um, and then he actually made an NHL pick, Rangers over the Blues, and the Rangers won 5-3. Never would have known about that. Um, but yeah, so we went 4-1 as Kickback Sports last week, and I gotta say that's pretty impressive. That is hitting the ground running, like just with a very broad stride, and just being like, we're not here to fuck around. We're gonna make some picks. You know, we're here to have some people tail us, and that's we're not gonna mess with y'all's portfolios. I would say we're not here to play games with this kind of stuff. So we've got some news from the different leagues and stuff. The biggest stuff has become the trades between NFL teams, and some big contracts getting signed. I'm ashamed that I don't have my Drew Lock Broncos. Sorry, my Drew Lock Broncos jersey on. But he is no longer a Bronco. Per Ian Rappaport, Denver will receive the 9-time Pro Bowler and a fourth round pick from Seattle, which will be Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is his name. And I as a Broncos fan, I can see this working out very well. Um, it's we've needed an experienced, uh, pocket passing capable quarterback for a while now. It is a big plus that he can run, but I will give it to Russell Wilson. He is a very good passer. He's got the styles and likeness of Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Eli Manning. But honestly, no, screw that, because they're all like pretty much strict pocket passers. Like some of the most well-known stay in the pocket, get the job done people. I'm gonna compare Russell Wilson. Even though he's older and he's had more experience and more of a career, I'm gonna go ahead and compare him to the likeness of Kyler Murray or Patrick Mahomes. Like I mean, it's people that can get out of the pocket, make plays on the run, make those magic plays where you're like, oh, he's so screwed. There's no way he's getting out of this, and then boom, dude, they just throw it behind their back or throw it under their legs or whatever they do as they're going on the ground, and they make the pass. So I mean, and Russell is one of those guys that can break and run for a long distance too. I mean, we've seen him do it many times. So he's coming from a team that is just kind of burnt out right now. I mean, think about what their defense did last season. Their offense wasn't that great. They never really had a outstanding running back. They never had many weapons on wide receiver. It was just not the place for him to be if he wanted to be uber successful. I mean, he would put up fights at home. There was definitely some games on the road where he could have won and performed better, but I mean, I think Russell Wilson will be pretty happy with the home he finds in Denver. Granted, this all goes through 100%, and I think it will, because Drew Lock from the Broncos is being traded to Seattle. What a great pickup. I mean, I love Drew Lock. I'm very biased. But they did get 2 first-round selections, 2 second-round selections, a 5th-round selection. Drew Lock, okay. Tight end, Noah Fant, and defensive lineman Shelby Harris. And so Noah Fant, experienced player, great tight end for Denver. It's going to be tough to lose him, and always a defensive lineman. With our defensive line, which is almost impenetrable unless you are a top class running back or fullback, you're not succeeding much. So Shelby Harris is that's going to be tough to lose too. We take pride in our defense, and it always hurts losing pieces of that. I mean, I hated losing Aqib Talib. Aqib Talib was a pretty rough player. I mean, still, he was a part of the Broncos. He was when they had their Super Bowl runs. He played a key factor in the defense on that team, and I can't say the safety's ever been the same. But new players come all the time. I will say Russell Wilson is going to succeed at the Broncos, and they might make a Super Bowl run with his first season being there, because right now they have a powerhouse of wide receivers. They go deep. I mean, Jerry Jeudy heading that place up. I mean, it's a wonder that Drew Lock and Jerry Jeudy didn't just absolutely pop off last season. But they've got 2 running backs that clocked over 1,000 yards last season. A top-rated defense with a top-rated O-line to protect Russell Wilson, and hopefully he'll get to exercise more of his arm. And big news, Kanye and Antonio Brown are talking about buying the Broncos. So, things are only looking up. I really have no idea how that could go. I mean, imagine our whole color scheme. All of a sudden we're the Dondas. We're the Dondas, and our color scheme goes to black and black and gray or something, or like some whitish gray. I don't know, something like hella Kanye, you know? I feel like if Kanye and Antonio Brown went on it, like Antonio Brown wouldn't have any say in what goes on. Is Antonio Brown allowed to play in the league if he owns a franchise? There's no way. I couldn't see that happening. Which, I mean, it would be hilarious if it could. And then they turn around and, uh, who was the guy? I'm forgetting, blanking on his name now. Calvin Ridley. Yeah, I was going to say Calvin Harris. Calvin Ridley got in trouble for betting on football games, and also the ones that he was in, which he had a direct impact on the score of. And there's, you can look it up. There's videos out there of Calvin Ridley breaking away, you know, catching these great passes and breaking away, and then just like curving up the field and stutter stepping or tripping, or, you know, giving up a tackle or acting like he's not as fast. And it's like, guy, could you make it any more obvious? I mean, I guess it worked because he got away with it for a while, but somebody was like, hey, we need to check his finances. Like, because, I mean, they found it out somehow. Somebody turned him onto it. Commanders and Colts. Yeah. The Commanders will swap out a 2022 second round pick with the Colts and send over their 2022 third round pick and their 2023 third round pick, which, what I'm reading here, could turn into a second round pick if Wentz plays at least 70% of the team's snaps. And you could be saying, Wentz? Like Carson Wentz with the Commanders, a.k.a. Washington football team, a.k.a. old Redskins that we're not allowed to say anymore? Yes. Carson Wentz with the Washington Commanders. If he plays at least 70% of the team's snaps this upcoming season, the 2023 third round pick will turn into a 2023 second round pick to go along with the other 2022 or the other 2020. Yeah, no. They're getting a 2022 second round and third round. They're actually switching spots with the Colts and then sending over their third round pick. And then their 2023 third round is going to be a second round if he takes over 70% of the snaps, which I have a feeling that the Commanders will not be letting Carson Wentz take more than 70% of the snaps. Just from a pure business management perspective, I would say that I wouldn't want to give up a higher round draft pick. I would say that the Commanders are in no position of making a Super Bowl run. I would say that the owners and the management at the Washington Commanders is smart enough to keep Wentz in and honestly use this as an excuse to filter in some less experienced quarterbacks that they've got sitting back there and see how they can grow their potential. Do I think Carson Wentz could find his home at the Washington Commanders? Yes. Carson Wentz can kind of find his home anywhere. I mean, the guy's he's a utility player. He can adapt. He can, improvise to his location and deal with the weapons he has. So, I mean, I like Carson Wentz. He's a great guy and a great player. And I think he could actually do some good for the Commanders, which I hope he does. And that also brings up the question who they draft in April. I mean, we've got a draft coming up really soon. And, the Washington Commanders, they're sitting there with this midterm Carson Wentz now. And they're thinking, do we want to get somebody to play under him, maybe play with him? Who knows? But the draft is coming up, and then we have to think about who the Colts are going to take with all of their picks now. They've got all these hot picks in the draft coming up. Who do they take? Are they going to be gearing towards another hot shot QB? I don't know. Who will the Colts pick as a QB? Because they need a QB. All right, so Green Bay in other news. On Tuesday, we had another report from Ian Rappaport that Rodgers is jumping out and signing another deal with the Packers. Yay. We get to watch more, you know, above par football be played. And now more of their market cap is spent on the one guy that can keep that team alive. And they can't pay any of the other players. And what happens when Devontae Adams realizes that, like, he's a freaking stud. And he's like, I want some more money. Why'd you give Aaron all this money? Is it because of his dope mustache? And they're going to be like, no. And then Devontae Adams is going to leave. So that's how that's going to go. But yeah, 4 years for $200 million, making him, by technicality, the highest paid QB in the NFL right now. Barely edging out Patrick Mahomes. The deal at full value will pay Rodgers $50 million per season, which is pretty good, if you ask me. But back to Calvin Ridley. 1 year suspension from the NFL for betting on football games that he was in. And like I said, looking at the footage, you can definitely tell that, like, this guy was betting on his shit, Like, he was throwing big plays. He was, tripping up when he really had a touchdown locked. Think about the season that the Falcons could have had. Because, the Falcons seemed like they were on the cusp of great things, like, every game. And they was just like, nope. And they didn't have a great season. They couldn't catch a stride. Even though, their QB, it's Matt Ryan. I actually am a fan of Matt Ryan. I've had him on my fantasy team a few years. He's a great backup on fantasy, and he and Derek Carr actually won us the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So, Matt Ryan, not a bad quarterback. He's kind of like a Matthew Stafford type. I feel like if he goes to a different team after gaining all this experience, he turns around and might win a Super Bowl. Imagine Matt Ryan going to the Giants. I would love that. That's an idea. Matt Ryan, you'll never see this in your lifetime, but maybe think about the Giants. Oh, dude, maybe the Colts. There's so many places where he could be useful. Think about it. Matthew Stafford came from the Lions, losing every game, and then came to the Rams. And we knew he was like a top-tier quarterback. Year in, year out, he had like the best QBR. And nothing ever came of it because his team just did not. It was just like the pieces were never there. It never fit right for Matthew Stafford to have a successful season, even though everybody talked about, like, oh, he's a great quarterback. But then he goes to a place where he's got weapons and he's got a defense and he's got people willing to play their heart out for him. And what does he do? He goes and wins a Super Bowl. So that's what I have to say about that. But I think it's pretty funny that the NFL actually holds their players to a higher standard than the U.S. government holds congressmen in the Capitol. As an NFL player, you can't bet on your own games that you're playing in, which seems, if you're betting against yourself, it seems like if you would only bet on your team. That should be the only thing allowed. But as a congressman in DC right now, you're allowed to trade the public stock market. No matter who's lobbying you, no matter what CEOs and management teams that you're in coordination with regularly, um, you're allowed to trade the stock market. And you have to report everything regularly, and they have people that they hire to do that and stuff. But man, it's not. That's not right. Um, screw Calvin Ridley betting money on the Falcons game and making them have a tough season. The few plays he controlled, he fucked up. But let's focus on the real things. NFL needs to turn its eye to insider trading by U.S. officials. Maybe they could do something about that. Deshaun Watson, our old boy. You actually remember Deshaun Watson? He was the old QB for the Houston Texans. And a little while back, I don't know if anybody else remembers this, but there was 10, 20, 30 women, apparently 10 women that came out against Watson last year when he was a Houston Texan, and they were accusing him of sexual misconduct during massage sessions. And of course he declined all of the accusations. But now this Friday, which is exciting, there is a trial being held in front of a grand jury where 7 accusers will appear and, further investigate and press their charges against Deshaun Watson. As I reading here, search warrants issued in October in connection with the Houston police investigation seeking access to the social media and Cash App accounts police said Watson used to buy the massages, named indecent assault as the crime being investigated. Indecent assault is a Class A misdemeanor in Texas, punishable by up to a year in jail and a maximum fine of $4,000. He'll get out of the year in jail. That's not prison. It's jail. And $4,000. Deshaun Watson could take a shit in his toilet, scoop it out with a shovel, put it in a bag, and walk out on the street and go, "Who wants this for $4,000?" And people would give them, a dad would give him his daughter for the bag of shit from Deshaun Watson. You get a true Texans fan down there, and they said, "Oh fuck, Deshaun Watson selling his shit in a bag." I don't know how much respect he has down there, but that's a funny concept for me to think about. Oh, shit. Hey, Deshaun Watson's got his shit in hey, get the babies. Get the babies. We got to give Deshaun Watson our babies. He's selling his shit in a bag. Get on the horseback. We got to ride. Deshaun, I got my babies. Give me your shit. Yeah. What I'm basically saying is Deshaun Watson could shit out $4,000. Basically. Like, he's got the money. So it's a misdemeanor in Texas, and it's punishable up to 1 year in jail and maximum fine of $4,000, while sexual assault is a second-degree felony. On the federal level. So he should be doing more. If that goes through, he accused all of them. Guilty until proven innocent. Something on that beat. In terms of golf, we've got Jay Monahan speaking up about Phil Mickelson, kind of going on a rebellious streak here. Phil Mickelson, as Jay Monahan said, basically, this is his tour. He was one of the guys that built the PGA Tour into what it is today. He's got 45 career wins. He's won major tournaments. The Players Championship is this week. He's won that. And Jay Monahan stepped out and said he is a Hall of Fame player. And I think Jay is just kind of tired of talking about it. I also think Phil will not play in a Saudi Arabian league just because he's American and he's trying to see if he could possibly get the PGA to fork up a little bit more. That's my view on it. I don't think he's going anywhere from the PGA Tour. But Jay Monahan kind of doubled down and he said, you know, it's not the greatest news that Phil is taking a break and kind of saying things about the PGA Tour that aren't desirable. And that he's actually entertaining the idea of a Saudi league, and it doesn't make him happy. But he's basically saying he did say the ball is in his court, and he would welcome a phone call from Phil to discuss options. He also said that repercussions or punishment for the way some of the comments made about the tour, and some disruptions within the establishment of the PGA Tour and its fan base. Some of that could be addressed in the future, but he said he's waiting for a phone call with him. He also said, Monahan also said, most recently, I'm saying that the tour is growing too fast and working too much to take care of their current players and their current fans and their current business operations to be worried about just another Saudi tour, another foreign tour trying to entice their players with cash. That's basically what's going on here. You're just reaching across the pond and you're saying, we'll pay you this much to come over here and play in our shit. When that's what Jay Monahan is saying. He says it's always been about legacy over leverage. Back in the 1900s, after the 50s, of course, they were still playing for like a couple grand a tournament. Like, it wasn't that much. And that was like when they were getting paid. And now we've got all the sponsors and we've got the hype around it. And we got the fans and we got the beer flowing and it's awesome. And, we get to play on these nice courses and we get to play in these great environments with these great fans that are respectable and they just love what they're watching and the talent that they're seeing. And, you're not only, when you win these tournaments, there's such a history behind each one of them. It's not just some random golf course now. These golf courses, these major tournaments and these large PGA Tour stops, these golf courses have stories behind them and legends that have walked on them and laid their mark. And now when you play in the PGA Tour, you get the chance to stand among those guys and, basically etch your name in the brick next to Arnold Palmer or Jack Nicklaus or, Tiger. It's, it'd be crazy. That would be something crazy. I think it would also be more crazy to see Mickelson leave the PGA Tour for a Saudi league. But that's all I'm going to talk about that. NBA, we had the Rockets beating the Lakers. I have to pick that up. That actually happened, last night. It's after 12 o'clock now. Rockets beat the Lakers, and KJ Martin, in his first career start this season, guarding, LeBron was his guy. LeBron. KJ Martin, in his first start of this season, had 17 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists. He was 58% field goal percentage, and he was 50% on three-point percentage. So, I don't know how much LeBron had. Why don't you look up how much LeBron had, bro? Yeah, so he played some great defense on the King. I think he definitely stopped a couple key plays of LeBron's. I saw that, LeBron was talking about, oh, maybe I could have, forced a reverse layup here or whatever. But I mean, I think KJ Martin was just stepping all over this guy. So it's going to be really cool to see what he can do for the Rockets and if he can step up into a leadership role. Um, what did you end up with over there?
LeBron had 23,
LeBron had 23 points,
12 assists, and 14 rebounds.
12 assists, and 14 rebounds.
Triple double.
Okay, but 23 points.
Yeah, that's not.
That's not, I mean, crazy for LeBron.
No.
That's actually underperforming for him, you would say.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's KJ Martin locked him down, bro. Call him that master lock, bro.
Lost what up.
Yeah, no, KJ Martin did something right. So I'm bringing that up because props to him.
Yeah.
Props to that guy. In other news, we have tomorrow/today. It was tomorrow when I was kind of writing my notes, but it's today now. Um, it'll be the first meeting of James Harden and the Nets since James Harden left. Um, Ben Simmons will be benched, of course, and the matchup between Harden at the Sixers now and Irving, who he left, old Kyrie out there just chilling. They were the power couple on the Nets. They were, hooking up for a while and then not hooking up, but they were like playing really well. And then, KD comes in, adds to that, and they're banging off and then Harden's like, I'm gone. And so now they have Ben Simmons who, really is a great contribution to their bench. You don't know how warm that guy's ass is, man. See, when he gets up and lets the real players sit down, they're going to be pretty comfortable, you know. But the Harden and Irving matchup is like very highly anticipated. It's going to be a spectacle, I think, to be able to watch tomorrow. So that comes on at 7:30. We'll actually be able to catch the end of that after our boxing thing. We're going to start doing boxing. We'll let you guys know how that goes. Um, so we're kind of wrapping things up, I guess. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else I'd like to mention, but I mean, I think I've covered a pretty good bit of what's happening, um, all around sports a little bit. I'm not dipping into too much here, but I'm dipping into what is pretty much relevant. Um, as far as I know, NASCAR is still boring. I don't know where the F1 is. I normally get into that when Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton are in their points race at the end of the season, which the last 5 or 6 races last season was just pure art. Pure art. So, I mean, if you haven't gotten into F1 yet, I definitely recommend you do that because there's a movie about it and there's a show about it now. And so, like, you can kind of catch yourself up and it's really cool. So some picks for this week. Kickbacks picks. So we're 4-1 since episode 1, which was last week. So we're gonna do NCAA baseball. I'm taking number 11 Florida beating number 8 Florida State. That game actually happens very soon. The basketball. This is in the SEC tourney. Going on, I'm taking Alabama over Vanderbilt. Alabama's had a pretty solid team all season. They've been one of the strongest in the SEC. Vanderbilt has really lost steam. It seems like they play pretty unguided, and they're used to being a top caliber team. And I think when these players came on to Vanderbilt, I think they expected to be, still pretty great. And they wanted to be in a college where they were known for basketball and they were known for their skill. And then, things haven't kind of turned out how they wanted it to. And now they're nobodies, just like Kentucky. And now it's Tennessee and Auburn. Boom. But yeah, I'm taking Alabama over Vanderbilt in the SEC tourney. And then we get to find out who plays Tennessee. So that'll be lit. And then in the NBA, I'm taking the 76ers over the Nets. Harden over Kyrie. That's the professional pick that I consulted with Trevor on because he's my basketball guy. The Sixers are actually 8 for 10 on the last 10 games, and the Nets are 4-10, or 4 wins out of 10 games, and the Sixers are 8 wins out of 10 games. So, I mean, if that tells you anything about a streak or a team kind of knowing what they're up to, as we get, into the meat and bones of the season, it's going to be a good game between, Harden and Kyrie, but I think the Sixers are going to be able to pull it off at home, and they get the W. So there's 3 picks going in the next week. We are 4-1. I hope we can extend that to 7-1. I'll settle for 6-2. I will. I'll be responsible and settle for 6-2 as long as I don't go negative. So, guys, this has been Kickback Sports episode 2. I currently don't know the future of this segment. I'm going to totally level with you. If there's anybody that I can find interested in keeping up with all of this stuff, because I'm managing quite a bit of things, just to let you guys into some introspective stuff. Between editing and thumbnails and formatting and uploading and shooting, it's it's a lot, but it's really fun and I enjoy it. But with school and all, it's just grades or kickback, and I pick kickback every time, and it never works out just because it's probably not the right thing to choose. But here we are. Kickback Sports, baby. Guys, I'm going to get this up as soon as I can, but if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much, and be waiting for Kickback Esports. Jeb is coming at you with some fresh content in the esports world. The new Elden Scrolls, Elder Rolls, Elden Ring. Yeah. The new Elden Ring game came out. He's talked about that. He's probably going to keep discussing that and the development of the popularity of the game as it reaches the retail market. He's going to keep talking about these CSGO tournaments. I saw the clips on there last week were pretty dang cool. I had never paid much attention to CSGO, but, it's pretty cool looking game. I mean, it looks pretty intense, and these guys actually have strategies and teams and stuff. So it's a lot of cool stuff that he's talking about on there. So, I mean, if you're not in the esports world, go check it out. See if there's anything that you're missing. If you are in the esports world, go check it out because, he's a funny kid. I like where he's taking the show. We've got some tweaks to make to it, but I think he's doing a good job. So, I mean, if you're a gamer, if you like PC games, if you like keeping up with tournaments going on in professional leagues, then I think you'll like what he's throwing down in these videos. But then we have Kickback Trades on Friday, which me and Trevor are going to hop back on here and talk about some absolute fucking bullshit that is going on the stock market these days. Well, it's been happening for a long time, but it just keeps happening and I keep getting pissed off about it. So that's just where we're at. Guys, like I said, stay tuned. More content coming at you every day. I'm going to get this one thrown up, but Godspeed, boys. We'll see you next time.